Well, in the past month, News 3 has taken the recall issue right to our viewers. In our new series, The Pulse, we visited area communities in Dane, Sauk, and Green counties to see where people stood on the recall issue. Tonight, one step further, taking your questions right to the candidates. And tonight, only News 3 by way of Facebook and viewer emails delivering your questions to Democratic candidate for governor, Tom Barrett. How do you think, after all this, how do you think you can bring the state back together?
Well, I had the same question asked to me when I was elected mayor in 2004, because it was a very divided election in 2004. And there were bad feelings. There were bitter feelings after it ended. And I had a lot of people saying, you're never going to be able to bring the city back together. And I made it my personal goal to bring the city back together. And I even had some of my staff members who said, you're spending too much of your time trying to work with people who were against you. But I said that I think I should be the mayor of the whole city, not just of the people who voted for me. Fast forward from 2004 to 2008, I was reelected with 79% of the vote.
Do you plan on restoring bargaining rights for public union workers?
The answer is yes. And I'll take a multifaceted approach. I think there's different vehicles to do it, but the answer is yes.
What will be the hurdles for that?
The gubernatorial election is going to send a strong message to the state. And I believe that what's going to happen is that I'm going to win, and there will be Republicans in the Assembly who had voted for this who are going to think, well, now the people of the state have spoken. And it is important to restore these organizing rights and these bargaining rights. And I think we can do it.
Next question comes from Darren Crispin in Madison, and he says, how do you propose to get people back to work? And it's kind of a two-part question, and also cut back on taxes.
Well, let me talk about jobs first, because I think when Scott Walker started this ideological civil war, and he talked about how he wanted to divide and conquer the state, and he succeeded in dividing the state. I think even his opponent would agree that he succeeded maybe beyond his wildest dreams in dividing the state, which I think is the problem. Because if you've got this state that's at each other's throat, that it's difficult then to achieve other goals. He took his eye off the prize. The prize was, how do we create jobs? And it was like a fork in a road. And he could have done what he said he was going to do as a candidate in 2010, and that is to work to create 250,000 jobs. Or he could go the route he chose, the divide and conquer route. And as a result of that, we lost a whole year of job growth in this state. And that's probably 60,000 jobs if we had matched what the national growth had been in jobs.
And the second part was, how do you hold the line on property taxes?
Well, I think what you'll see is you're going to see that the payments that people are making for their health care and pensions, those are going to remain. And I think that part of the debate's done. Once you had those labor leaders acknowledge that their members would pay, that part of the debate was done. And I think that's going to go a long way in controlling property taxes in the state.
I'm just going to finish with two quick questions of my own. It's been 19 months since the first election. How is Tom Barrett different than you were? I mean, is it a different approach to how you want to run? Are you personally just different?
Several things are different. One, I think the population is different, and I think people have a better understanding of who Scott Walker is. And what I find are the crowds are much more invigorated, which gives me energy, frankly. I mean, you sort of feed off the crowds. And there are certain things that I really am angry about. I'm angry about how he is viewing this state as his way to make a national name for himself. And this goes back to the Milwaukee question. You've got a former county executive of Milwaukee who left 18 months ago. And in his acceptance speech on primary night, he was willing to trash Milwaukee and say, we don't want Wisconsin to be like Milwaukee. And I thought, what kind of loyalty does that show to the community that you led 18 months ago? And I thought, I think you'd do the same thing in a heartbeat. And you'd trash Wisconsin if it would serve your political purposes. And I think that the issue of loyalty and honesty, I think those are relevant issues as well.
Now, tomorrow we will sit down with Governor Scott Walker, and we continue to take your questions. You can email me directly, efranke@wisctv.com. I've also requested your questions for the governor at our Channel 3000 Facebook page, and that interview will air tomorrow right here on News 3 at 10.